In today's lesson, we will be looking at how to design a simple wedding flyer or a wedding invitation card. First, we need to add a new background, and this can be done with the file option. For the purposes of this demonstration, we will be using an A4 sheet. Here, we add a new name to a project or a new project, hence wedding invitation. The default size for A4 has been selected already. The best or an average resolution has also been selected. So we leave everything as it is and click OK. Once the background appears, we need to design it to suit our liking. So note that every single component we are going to add to this design would need a new layer. Hence, the first thing we have to add will need its own layer. So, to add a color, I will create a layer, and this layer can be created with the help of the new layer icon found below here. So with the help of the selection tool or the rectangle marquee tool, I draw a rectangular selection around the entire background. Right click, select fill option, choose color option, and choose the preferred color of my choice. But then I want to use my own color, so with the help of the color code, I select color of my choice. Once I type in the color code, the selection is automatically made for me. So 601C28. This color code gives me a color that looks like peach or brownish, or whatever color it is. That is what I'm looking for. So clicking on OK applies the color. So you could see that if I hide the layer we created, the color is gone, and if I turn it on, the color appears. Next off, we have to add some borders to this design. So adding borders to the design, I have downloaded them from the internet, and I need to just insert them into our working. To do that, I just have to import those design, go there, and just try as much as possible to drag and drop onto my design. And as you can see, it looks bigger. So with the help of Ctrl T, I then transform this imported border to fit onto my working space or my new background. So once you have a background or a border bigger than your working area, you need to adjust by transforming and positioning it at a preferred location. So that is actually what I'm trying to do. Now this looks okay, and so I click on OK to remove the canvas around it, or I click on the move tool, select append, or OK to remove the selection. Now I would want to add an additional design to this particular background. So I just zoom in, and this can be done with the help of Ctrl and plus. Now I select the rectangle marquee tool and begin to draw or make a selection from one end of the border down to touch the next available border design. I then create a new layer to hold the color I'm going to add to the selection. And I believe by now you all know how to add colors. So clicking on OK applies the color I selected and forms a thin line joining from the top border to the down border from the left. Now I make a duplicate of the newly drawn line and position it at the extreme end of the other border to the right. Once this is done, I now need to do the same for both the top and down borders. So repeating the same process, I need to create a new layer, and with the help of the selection tool, I begin to draw a selection. Add a color to the selection, and it also creates a thin line to join the two borders from the top. The same procedure will have to be done for the bottom. But once we have already, we need to duplicate the layer we just created for the top and drag downwards to join the two borders from below. Now, having gotten the colors or the borders, we also add a design to hold the initials or the logo I am about to create for the couple. So if you have something of that sort, then you can also design likewise. So I go to my downloaded image from the internet and drag the design onto my working area. As you can see, it looks much bigger. So with the help of transform, by pressing on Ctrl T, I can now transform the shape and place it appropriately at a desirable location. Once this is done, I then try as much as possible to add whatever information I want to pass on to the people we are inviting. In other words, the text information. But before that, you need to organize our layers into a folder. So you select all the layers together, press Ctrl T, press Ctrl G, and name it as a background design. Once this is done, We now move on to select our text tool. Click anywhere within our working space to activate the blinking cursor and begin to add the information. So whatever information that we have, we need to type the information in here. So you add the information by simply typing each and every single character. However, you may decide to copy the information from elsewhere and paste them onto your working area. That is to say, if and only if you have the information typed already, then you can copy the information and paste it onto your working area. Alright. In trying to position your text on the flyer, you can do that by using the rulers to assist you leave spaces between each line of text from the other. Okay, so once we're done, we just duplicate the text layers, edit them, and add other additional information. Okay, you can duplicate a particular layer by selecting the layer and pressing Ctrl plus J, letter J. Once you duplicate, you double click on the duplicated layer or the copy layer, which makes the text in there selected or highlighted. Then you begin to type whatever information that you want. So you will have to do that throughout until you have added all additional information. So as you can see, all the information I would want to add is being typed in there. Okay, so you also need to do likewise. But like I said earlier, if you have them typed already, you can just copy them and paste it here. Now I make a duplicate again, then try as much as possible to position it rightly. This can be done with the help of the move tool, and then I drag to a desired location. I now edit the new layer and put in another information, and this information happens to be the time and the date for the event. Note that in designing, you need to give emphasis to some important information that you want viewers to actually see. Hence, you would need to format. But all formatting activities are on hold now until we are done with adding all information. Then we can begin formatting. Alright, so I add the time and date. Now I need to separate the time and the date from the other information. Okay, and so to do that, I will have to try as much as possible to add a new design, but then I'll have to make sure that I use the rulers to mark out or to set out spacings within my document. So I now insert the design I would want to use to make a distinction between the other information and that of the date and the time. So this is the design. I drag and drop onto my working area. I press Ctrl T to transform to a desired size. Now that this is okay with me, I position appropriately and drag the text into it and position them on my working area. So this is actually what I want to do. And as you can see, it has been separated from the rest. So the remaining information will now have to be typed or copied and pasted into the design. So as you can see, I'm speeding up a bit here to add the information so we can all work in time. So you have to do that for each and every single information that you have. Okay. And once you do that, you will be successfully able to add the information. Okay. Well, I now try as much as possible to add the text logo to it, and so we have JM as the text logo for the wedding couples. Okay. Now that the text has been successfully added, we need to do all necessary formatting activities, including the arrangement of the text, the alignment, changing the font size, making some bold, others just leave them the way it is. So with all formatting activities, you only have to identify the layer you want to work on, double click on the text layer to make the entire context within it selected. Then you try as much as possible to add the formatting activities. So we just do that, and this time I'm speeding it up so we can see that at the end of the day we have gotten a new look, and this looks a bit perfect as compared to at first. Now, focusing on the logo design, you could see that it looks a bit flat, so I would add a little bit of shadow to make it stand out. Okay, so I locate the JM layer, then I right click on it to display the options, select blending options, then in the next dialog I select drop shadow. This allows me to put in any adjustments that I want. So the opacity is reduced, distance also increased, and the spread also increased, the size increased or decreased to a desired option. So you realize that the logo has been shadowed. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is a wedding invitation. Finally, before we save this particular work, the background looks too plain, so I would want to add an image to serve as a texture, and I have the image downloaded from the internet. Okay, so I will import the image into our working area. This can be done by dragging and drop, and once the image is inserted appropriately, the opacity of the image is reduced to blend with the background color. So when I zoom in, you see that there is some kind of texture behind the main background. Okay, so this is actually something I wanted. If I turn off the inserted image, you see this is what we have. Then if I turn it on, you see that it gives us a little bit of light. So basically, this is how to design a wedding invitation flyer. So guys, you can actually do the same thing for your clients, and I believe they will be happy about that. So guys, this is the end of our video section. I believe you liked it, and this can serve as a guide to you all who would want to design a flyer. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe.